My name's Seppi Bazzi, and I'm the head of marketing and sales here at RealtyNinja. And today I'm going to be running this webinar for you, showing you how to get the most out of your RealtyNinja website. So before we get started in just about a minute or less here, I just want to make sure that some of you guys who are in attendance are actually sitting there at your desk and that you can hear my voice and that everything's coming through clear and nicely. So if you don't mind, if you can hear me, just type a little message into the chat window for me and just let me know that you're here and that you're checked in. And as long as I know that at least one person's present and sitting down and listening, then I'll get started. I would hate to get started without anybody actually being here. So just check in for me. Perfect. Thanks, Jason. That's great. That's all I need to hear. Great. So we've got 11 people registered today. The rest of them can trickle in if they want, but I really appreciate the 3 of you being here. So let's just go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do today, like I said, is show you how to kind of get the most out of your launched live RealtyNinja website. So we're going to start with a little bit of an intro and talk about some of the fundamentals of websites and real estate websites and just the industry, and share a couple of rules that we've learned with you over the years of building real estate websites. RealtyNinja is now in its 8th year. Almost in June will be a 9-year-old company, and so we've built thousands and thousands of real estate websites, and we've learned a few things that we'd like to share before we get into actual on-site optimization tactics and off-site optimization tactics. So we're going to do a couple different things. One of them being on-site, where we're going to talk about things you can do on your actual website to get them, to convert more of your traffic into leads. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is off-site, which is things you can do all around the internet to kind of send more traffic to your actual website. So we'll end with a little touch on the Dojo, our real estate marketing and technology blog, and our ebook, which I highly recommend you all download. It's for free, and it's a 3-part ebook, and it contains lots of great info to kind of keep your modern marketing education moving forward. And then we've got a Q&A at the end, but I always just say feel free to ask your questions kind of as we're going through, especially since there's just 4 of us in here. It's nice and intimate, and if you guys ask questions in the chat box, I can just answer them right on the spot usually. If it's going to end up being a loaded question that takes a lot of time to answer, maybe I'll just follow up with you at the end so we don't kind of pause for too long. And if we need to, we can hop on the phone afterwards, or send you an email to follow up with some links or whatever you need. At the end of this webinar, you're going to get a copy of the slides. So once I end the event, you'll be forwarded to a page that has a bunch of important links, including the link to download these slides. So feel free to take your own notes if you want, or just sit back and listen in, and you'll get a copy of these slides once they're done. So give yourself a high five, pat yourself on the back. With a launched, mostly automatic real estate website, you're already 10 steps ahead of the competition. Believe it or not, it's 2019 now, and about half the realtors out there in your market still don't have their own real estate website. A lot of them are just relying on their broker subdomain site, or some other variation of that it doesn't actually fully belong to them. Like the domain doesn't belong to them, and so you're part of the 50% that actually has a domain, has your own kind of brand online. You're not just relying on social media or your broker site. And with a RealtyNinja site, you're really ahead of the curve, because I spent all day, well, not all day, but a lot of the days of the week going through different real estate agent websites from different competitor brands and custom built sites on WordPress and whatnot. And really from a design and usability standpoint, there's a lot of people out there, even in the 50% who own their own websites, who really just have a crappy, outdated, ugly website. A lot of times it looks like it was built in the 90s and it has never been updated. And so you guys are really, really ahead of the pack. You're really ahead of the average realtor, but this is not a webinar about being average. This is a webinar about being ninja. And so let's get into it. So these days, standing out is the hardest thing to do online. You're not the only real estate agent with a website. 20 years ago, if you just had a website, that was enough. Nowadays, every realtor, half the realtors out there have their own website. Every realtor has some sort of online presence almost, whether it's just a YouTube channel or a Facebook page or their broker site or something. Everyone's got a little corner of the internet. And so attention is really the currency that we're dealing in when we're dealing with online presences, whether it's websites, social media, etc. And so we live in this really interesting time. It's an attention economy where we're just trying to grab people's attention for a few seconds or a few minutes at a time of the day, and just pull them away from Netflix, pull them away from Reddit and from YouTube and from browsing their Instagram feed, and get them to stop at your Instagram, or get them to visit your website and take a look and take some action. So keeping in mind that people are being pounded with so much more content than they were just over 10 years ago, it really kind of puts you in the right frame of mind to think about how you're producing your website, how you're producing your content, what you're putting out there to people, and why they should really care about it, and why they would be willing to put down Netflix for 5 minutes to check out what you have to say on YouTube, for instance. So really important to keep that in mind as we move forward. So what does it take to make your website truly ninja? As I mentioned, we've worked on thousands of realtor sites. Even before RealtyNinja, we were a company called Base 10, and we were building custom websites for realtors way, years ago, 2009, and even as far back as around 2005. And so a lot has changed. Technology has changed, websites have changed, design best practices have changed, the way call to actions work and everything has changed. But the fundamentals, these two simple rules, have kind of stayed the same, regardless of time and technology and everything else changing. And these rules are: rule number one, don't be generic. Generic marketing is forgettable. And what I mean by generic is don't just try and be the realtor that works with anybody in your entire real estate board. If somebody reaches out to you, let's say you're a Vancouver realtor, and somebody reaches out to you from Burnaby or Coquitlam or Surrey and wants to work with you, you're not going to say no, of course. But you want to focus your marketing efforts on being the Vancouver realtor, or even bring it down and be the Vancouver condo realtor or the Vancouver luxury realtor, or a certain area like the Yaletown realtor, for instance. And so keep that in mind. Be more specific. Don't be generic and just be the #1 realtor in all of BC, because that's going to be a bit difficult for you to kind of resonate with any one target demographic. Rule number two, create real value for your target audience. So based on rule number one, don't be generic, define the target audience and go after them. And rule number two is create value for them. And so people, while it is your real estate website or your real estate social media channel, for instance, it really is about people. It's about providing them value and taking some of their attention away from that attention economy and bringing them to you. The only way you're going to do that is by creating value. So you really need to ask yourself, what am I going to do to create value for this target audience? What do they care about? If you're going after first-time home buyers, for instance, what do they care about? What do they want to find online? What do they want to see on your website and on your Facebook and your Instagram and your YouTube? And you need to identify that. And so once you do that, once you answer these two kind of questions in your mind, not being generic, picking a target audience and going after them online and create value for them, you're going to have more time in generating traffic to your site and actually converting that traffic, because people are actually going to start caring about you and giving you some of their attention. Huge opportunities these days, and for the last few years now, is that you can reach so many of your potential customers online. They're all online. All the people are just on Instagram. They're browsing. Honestly, I was driving yesterday and I counted the number of people crossing the street in front of me at the red light who were walking past me on their phone, looking at their phone, not even looking at the street ahead of them. And it was 100%. It was 6 people, and all 6 of them walked into the street on their phone, looking at their phone. We are a generation of cyborgs. We're just like constantly on our phone, constantly looking at content, constantly consuming text messages and Instagram posts and everything. So everyone's online. If you just take a look around in your community, you're going to see that. Depending on your community, it might be a little bit less or a little bit more, but generally speaking, if there's internet connection where you are, people are on the internet. And so you have this awesome opportunity to reach these people in their place of comfort. Instead of going into their house or meeting them somewhere and shaking their hand and looking them in the eyes, you can reach them all at scale with your posts or with going out and engaging with different people's posts and stuff like that. And so keep that in mind. Using modern marketing and technology, you're able to kind of grow your network way faster than people were starting in real estate 50 years ago or 30 years ago or 20 years ago even. Big brands with deep pockets that have been around for 30 years, if you're a new agent that's just starting out, you have the ability to kind of reach their level within a year or two in terms of your network size and your reach. So keep that in mind. Realtors are kind of public figures, right? Everywhere that I go, I see ads for realtors literally all over town. And so your faces and your names and your phone numbers and your email and your website, it's all out there everywhere, and people are seeing it all the time. People know your name that you don't even know about. And so you're kind of this public figure, and you have the opportunity to replicate that online as well and become the quote unquote digital mayor of your area, like a local celebrity. Because you're already on the bus shelters and the bike racks and sponsoring local events and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden they see you online as well. They see you on Instagram and they get this kind of personal, transparent interaction with you. And this kind of helps build your brand into this quote unquote mayor of your area. So really huge opportunities here. Like I said, we're in the attention economy. Everyone's paying attention to their phones and their mobile devices. And so you got to be where they're paying attention. Two really important questions to ask yourself, whether you are just starting your website journey, whether you've had a website for 5 years and you just switched it to Realty Ninja, or you've had a website for 20 years and you just kind of need to make some changes. These are two really good questions to ask yourself at any point in time. Question number one, who am I building the website for? This goes back to that point of not being generic. Figure out who you're building the website for and actually build it for them. If it's for first-time home buyers or empty nesters or new families with kids or people in a certain area or sub-area or neighborhood, figure out who it's for and position that site from all aspects, whether it's from design, content, pages, colors, even everything to speak to those people. And like I said, remember, generic marketing is forgettable. So don't be generic. Build the website for a specific group of people. It's better to be speaking to those people. So if I'm a first-time home buyer and I land on your site and it's speaking directly to me, you have a way higher chance of converting me into a lead than if I land on your site and it just says #1 realtor in Vancouver, for instance. So I'd rather take like a bigger piece of a smaller pie than a smaller piece, like a very small piece or no piece of a big pie, right? Question number two to ask yourself, what do I want these visitors to do on my website? So once you've defined who you're building the website for in question one, now you want to identify what do you want them to do when they get there. So this is going to be really important when you're kind of setting up your call to actions on your site. The one or two or three or four main asks that you're asking people to do once they get there and they scroll down your homepage. It's like, do this, do this, do this. You want to lead them through your marketing funnel and tell them where to go. Like I said, we live in an attention economy. People don't necessarily want to go to your site and click through every single page. It's good to have the navigation, it's important, and it's mandatory. However, people want to be like told where to go, what's important to them. If I'm a first-time home buyer, I land on your site, it's made for first-time home buyers. Make sure your main call to actions are leading me to where a first-time home buyer needs to go next. Like maybe one of the links is 10 things you need to know as a first-time home buyer. And the next link is view properties perfect for first-time condo buyers or something like that. And so all those kind of call to actions are speaking directly to me, and it tells me exactly where I need to be going. Define what these what these call to actions are. Figure out what people want to do on your website and give it to them right up front, and without them having to hunt or search for too long. A couple more things before we get into on-site optimization tactics. A truly ninja real estate website should do a number of things. I'm not going to bore you by reading every single one of these. You guys can read them yourself. I do like to highlight a few of them. So one that I like to highlight is the create trust. Creating trust with your audience is very important in real estate, in a lot of industries, but especially in real estate because the transactions are so low in frequency and high in like emotion and high in price. And so that trust is so important. People want to get to know who you are when they're going to do business with you, when they're going to sell a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $5 million dollar home with you. They want to feel that sense of trust, and their first touch might be your website. So make sure you're doing everything you can to show your credibility and build your trust with them through your website. You can do this in a lot of ways, and we're going to cover some of them later on. But for instance, testimonials, doing a little bio about yourself, having video on your site so people can take a look at you, look you in the eyes, and listen to your voice, and get a feeling of connecting with you. Putting your awards and other any other credibility badges like your sold listings on your site. So lots of things that you can do to kind of show credibility, build trust, and connect with people and break down that digital barrier. Really, really important step. Next one that I like to highlight is that your website represents you 24/7. It's often the first impression people have of you before they ever meet you, call you, message you on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, right? They like land on your website and maybe it's 2 in the morning and you're fast asleep, but they're on your website browsing you and getting to know you because they worked shift work or something and they got off late and now is their time to check websites and check the real estate, stuff that they're looking at online. So they get to your website and they go to like learn about you and there's nothing there, let's say. There's bios coming soon, testimonials are coming soon. There's no blog posts, there's no video, there's no photos, there's no social media links. So they're probably just going to leave. So keep that in mind. When you look at your website, make sure it's doing a good job of representing you and your business 24/7 round the clock. One good test is look at your website as if it was an employee of your business. If it was someone you had hired to kind of go out there and do sales and meet people and farm, neighborhoods for you and get leads, would they be dressed sharp? Would they be, representing your brand correctly, speaking professionally, making eye contact, shaking hands, and just making a good impression for your brand? Or would you be reprimanding them or firing them because they're not actually representing you? And so treat your website like it's an employee. Take a look at it through that lens and see if it's kind of doing a good job of upholding your brand standards and the way that you do business and represent yourself. Final big one, provide value to your target audience. Mentioned this a few times already. The most important thing really is just to provide value and pull in eyeballs to your website, get people's attention, get people out of that attention economy where they're on Netflix and YouTube and Instagram and get them to come to you because you're providing them some value. By providing value to people, you're going to get value as well. Your website is your website, but the only way it's going to work for you is if you make it work for other people. And that's just a fact. That's just the way that marketing works, especially these days and more as we move forward. So last slide before we get into on-site optimization tactics, an analogy we've used forever at RealtyNinja. Your website is like this sweet sports car, this awesome Lamborghini. It's fast, it's sleek, it's got torque and horsepower and paddle shifting and bucket seats and everything that you need to kind of win races. However, without a driver, it's just a beautiful car that's sitting there in front of your house or parked in your garage. So it's not going to win any races. If your goal is to just have a nice car that's kind of sitting out there and making you look cool, that's great. That's totally up to you. That would be kind of like having a brochure website that's just a brochure that if people go past it and see it, then they think, oh wow, really nice brochure. However, if you want to win races, if you want to get leads through your website and get business and close deals and get your website to be an ROI machine for you that's actually producing money for you, then you need to drive it. You need to have a driver. Now, you can be the driver, or you can hire a company, or you can hire multiple companies, or you can hire an assistant, but someone needs to drive it. It's a tool. When you get a cell phone, if you don't give out your phone number to anybody and you don't make any calls with the phone, nothing's going to happen with it, right? It's not this magical machine that creates business for you, but it's a very important tool in your business because you need to make phone calls. You need to answer phone calls. And so think of it the same way, like we're giving you this powerful tool, but it actually needs to be used in order to create leads. 20 years ago, like I said, 20 years ago, if you were the realtor in your area that had a website, you were probably the only one. And so that was enough to get leads. These days, you're competing with thousands of other realtors in your market. A lot of them are driving their car. Maybe not all of them are driving it well, but still they're doing some effort in driving that vehicle and in using that tool, which is their website. And so you're not just going to get leads out of thin air by just having a website anymore. Those days are kind of dead. So having said that, let's jump into things you can do to make your website more awesome, on-site optimization tactics. And just a reminder, guys, feel free if you guys have any questions about this stuff as I'm going through it, please just drop your questions into the chat. I'm more than happy to engage with you right here on the spot. So first, on-site optimization tactic, blogging, content, and resources. So by creating blog posts, by creating content on your website, by creating valuable resources, you are engaging in what's called inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is when you post stuff on your site and it brings people inbound to your site through search engines or through social media. For instance, if they find your post on social media, you wrote a blog post, you shared it on Facebook, someone clicked it and they came inbound to your site. That's inbound marketing. And inbound marketing is one of the most effective ways to build traffic for your website. Um, this is even without advertising, right? And so if you boost it with advertising, even better. But inbound marketing, it can be a totally organic, free of advertising kind of medium to attract traffic to your site. But it's very important. The more you're kind of creating content on your site, the more you're telling search engines that this is a fresh site. This site is constantly updated, and we should rank it higher because it's always kind of being refreshed with new information that contains keywords and vital, valuable content for people, for visitors. So keep that in mind. Publishing blog posts, publishing new pages, creating landing pages, having keywords on your site that are going to attract the right kind of visitors to you. Very, very important in the SEO, the search engine optimization battle. Now, when you're creating content, I use a little trick called HUN. This is 4 things that people psychologically are attracted to that they find interesting. It's things that are helpful, that are unique, that are novel, or that are new. HUNN. Easy way to remember it. And put your content through the test. If you're thinking about writing a blog post or creating a landing page or creating a campaign or a contest or a brochure or any piece of marketing content, always put it through this test, this filter. Ask yourself, is this content helpful? Is it unique? Is it novel? Is it new? If it's any of those things, great. If it's multiple of those things all at once, like if it's a new thing and it's helpful, amazing, right? New, unique, and helpful, outstanding. However, if it doesn't match any of those things, if it's not new information, if it doesn't have a novelty to it, if it's not unique and it exists all over the place, and if it doesn't help anyone out, it's not valuable. People are not going to drop the Netflix and come look at what you're producing there if it's not one of these things. This is just psychological fact. So keep that in mind and use this trick when you're creating content. And also remember to use mixed media. For instance, like if you use images on your blog posts, now your blog post can also show up in the Google Images tab. So it contains an image, and if someone searches for, Real Estate Vancouver and clicks images, maybe you're hosting a few images in your blog that match that description, and now those images are going to show up there as well. So you're basically amplifying your reach. You're going to show up in the regular Google text results, and you're going to show up in the Google image results. Now, if you've got video as well, now you're going to show up in the text, in the images, and in the video tab on Google. And Google owns YouTube. So YouTube being the biggest video search engine in the world and Google being the biggest search engine in the world for everything else, you're really amplifying your reach by using mixed content. Here's a good example of a blog, one of the RealtyNinja customers named Chris Whitehead. He does a blog, and him and his team are constantly producing videos, and they're embedding these videos, like they load these videos onto YouTube, and then they embed the videos into their blog posts. And the blog post also has some text to it, and some of them even have images as well. And so this is so awesome. This is amplifying their reach big time, like ×3 or more. And it's also like really nice looking. It looks great to have these kind of play buttons all over. If I click this, it'll just start playing right here. If I go into the blog post, I can also view it a little bit larger, or I can click the title of this and go directly to their YouTube channel, subscribe if I want to. So a lot of great benefits here of mixing this kind of media together. And also people just like video better. In the attention economy, asking someone to read a 20-minute article is a lot harder than getting them to watch a 1-minute video or a 2-minute video. I'd much rather watch a 2-minute clip than to try and read and digest a 30-minute article from a real estate website. So this is a great trick. If you guys can do this, if you can put some videos together and load them into your blog and do it like once a week even, you're going to be way, way ahead of competition. I'm telling you, not a lot of people are doing this in the real estate industry. And so it doesn't take too much to kind of step your SEO and your traffic up on your site. Next on-site optimization tactic is unique descriptions on your listings and on your MLS pages. So really important fact about SEO, search engines do not reward you for duplicate content. So if you're copy pasting stuff from Wikipedia onto your site, Wikipedia is the owner of that content, and your site is basically plagiarizing from Wikipedia. Therefore, Google is not going to give you any bonus, any SEO bonus for that. It's just going to give the SEO bonus to Wikipedia. That's it. So you want to make sure your website has unique content on it, whether it's the write-ups, community pages, blog posts, all that. Don't copy paste stuff. It's not going to help you. It might just feel like this really easy, quick way to get stuff up on your site and make your site look busy, but it's not going to actually attract people to your website, which is why you're doing this. You don't want your site to just look busy if nobody's coming to look at your site. Nobody's going to see that it looks busy. So do stuff, do work on your site that's actually going to attract traffic to it. Put in a little bit more time and create unique content. Now, further to this, MLS data is not unique content. MLS data is duplicate content that's located on thousands of websites all across your board, all across realtors that have signed the reciprocity agreements for their board, on realtor.ca, on thousands of other kinds of sites. There's all these listings and listing portal sites out there that are showing listing data. And so you are not going to rank on page 1 just because you're showing listings. So what you need to do on these listings pages is actually modify them. So there's 2 things here. The first one is your own listings. So if you're listing, a listing that belongs to you, that you loaded into MLS and it got loaded onto your RealtyNinja website, when that listing belongs to you, you have the ability to actually modify the listing. So you can go into the listing and modify the description. So you can, you're limited on MLS to the number of characters, I think, or words that you can use. But on your RealtyNinja site, you're not limited. So you can log in and expand on that description, write a little bit more, give some more details. You can also embed a video into it. So there's a video that plays right there within the description. You can also embed a virtual tour, for instance. So there's like a live virtual tour. When people are reading the description, they can actually tour the home or condo as well. You can upload PDF files. So you can do like strata documents or a floor plan or a property brochure or something like that. You can also add image captions to all the photos, and you can upload more photos. So you can actually have exclusive photos on your RealtyNinja website for a listing that don't exist on MLS. And so by doing this, by beefing up your listings on your RealtyNinja site, you're actually going to make that listing, that address, unique on your site. And therefore, that's going to be the one-of-a-kind listing of that for that address on the internet, and Google's going to be able to rank that higher all of a sudden because it's unique and it's not just a duplicate of what exists all over through reciprocity and all over like realtor.ca and the MLS.ca and all that stuff. So really, really, really good tactic, really, really, really important little pro optimization is to go in to your RealtyNinja website, modify all of your own things, add some extra text, add a few extra photos, add some photo pins, embed a video, etc., etc. Make it unique on your site. Your clients are going to appreciate it because you're going to be ranking high, and you're also going to benefit from it because more people are going to be able to find that property on your website versus seeing it on realtor.ca and Coldwell Banker and Remax and Royal LePage sites all first, which is usually what happens. If the brokerage sites show the listings first, and then you see the realtors on page 2. You don't want to be on page 2 of Google. Another side of this, so that was the one side where it was modifying your own listings. The other side of this is on your niche MLS search pages. You want to add some descriptive text. So niche MLS search pages would be like I live in Yaletown in Vancouver. Let's say there was a Yaletown condos page on your website. If you just put that with just the listings and it just says Yaletown condos at the top and then it shows condos in Yaletown, that's not going to help you out because that's all duplicate content. There's nothing unique about that page. In fact, there's probably at least 50 or 100 other realtors out there with Yaletown condo pages on their website. So what makes those pages unique is by adding some descriptive information at the top. Add some info about the community, embed a video, mention the shops that are in the area, mention the transit routes and the walk score, and add some photos and all this kind of stuff will make that page now unique, and it'll make it a community resource. And remember, it's going to provide value to people. The listings, yeah, it's a little bit valuable, but again, they can find it all over the place. It's not unique. And so if you make it unique to you, to your site, it's going to become like this community guide. And so here's a great example. You guys can check this link out yourselves if you want. PrincetonBC.com. When you go to the community section here and scroll over it on their website, there's a drop down with a bunch of communities. This is Princeton, but there's a bunch of other ones too. So feel free to go ahead and take a look and get some inspiration from the site. This page is Princeton, BC information page. There's a nice video at the top, a nice write-up about Princeton, a little weather widget that shows the 7-day forecast in Princeton. We got photos all over the place, which are helpful because they're showing up on Google Images, but they're also helpful because they make the page look good. Information about shops, information about restaurants, and then as you keep scrolling down, then you at the bottom get homes for sale in Princeton. And so this page went from just being a boring homes for sale in Princeton page to this beautiful community resource that tells everyone everything that they need to know about Princeton if they're considering a move here. And so this site has done this for various different communities around the Princeton area. And whenever you kind of like Google Princeton, BC, this is one of the first sites that shows up. So this works. It's not, I'm not just saying that it might work. It definitely works. Princeton's obviously a smaller place, so if you go the extra mile, you're going to have a chance to rank higher. If you're in Yaletown and you're creating this kind of resource, you definitely want to make sure you do your homework, look around at what other people have created, and try and do something unique so you have a better chance of standing out and rising through the search results. Next, on-site optimization tactic is proper keyword and alt tag usage. So keywords are everywhere. There was a time back in the day, like 15, 20 years ago, when I started playing with the internet, when keywords were just these few lines of code that were tucked into the header of your HTML. It was like meta keywords, meta description, and meta tags. And these three things basically told search engines everything that they needed to know about your website. Now, back then, you could kind of trick search engines and do all kinds of sneaky stuff, but they've come a long way. The search engines are extremely smart. Their algorithms have evolved so much that they're looking at so many things when ranking your website, not just those few little keywords tucked into your website code. So it's a lot harder to trick them. Don't try to trick them. By trying to trick them, you might just end up blacklisted, and that could get you in trouble. And I'm telling you, they know all the tricks. And so they're prepared for all the kind of tricks you might want to pull on them. If they catch you doing it, it's going to ding you and you might never rank again. And so just what you want to do is produce content for people. Use keywords sparingly, use them properly, use them throughout your website, and don't stuff them. When you read a website, it's like you read a paragraph that just says, I am the #1 realtor in Vancouver. Real estate in Vancouver is my passion. Vancouver real estate is awesome. Like that kind of thing is not actually providing any value or any information. It's clearly just repeating keywords over and over again. So that's called keyword stuffing. You don't want to do that. Search engines can read your website at a 7th grade comprehension level. And so you definitely want to write for 7th graders, which are 12 years old, which are really hard to fool with BS. So make sure that you're writing content for people. You're going to get rewarded by people and by search engines by doing so. Keep the keywords in there. If your website's for first-time home buyers, make sure you're using keywords that they're going to search, keywords that they care about, that resonate with them. If it's for people in Yaletown, make sure you're using keywords that resonate with them. However, don't go crazy. Just do it properly. Write for people so that if a person's reading that paragraph or that page or blog post, it doesn't sound like mumbo jumbo. It actually makes perfect sense. And find opportunities to use these keywords all over. Now, alt tags are keywords for your photos. So images on a RealtyNinja website all have alternate text tags. That's what an alt tag is alternate text tag. And so when I look at this photo here of Katie Burkhardt on her website, when search engines look at this photo of Katie Burkhardt on her website, they know that this is a human being because they have some algorithms that can read images and they can say, okay, here's an eye, here's another eye, here's a nose, here's a mouth, and this is a human head, and there's some hair. Now, they don't know that this is a female. They don't know that it's Katie Burkhardt. They don't know her job title or anything like that. And so you want to make sure to go to all of the images on your RealtyNinja website, when you log in and you go into edit mode, everything becomes editable. The yellow appears all behind all the text and all the images and everything. And then a little icon appears on all of your images. It's a little gear icon that shows up in the top corner. If you click that, this box opens up, and right in here you can type in your alternate text. Katie Burkhardt, Vancouver Real Estate Professional. So this image might now show up if people go search Vancouver Real Estate in Google Images, for instance. So her image might pop up there, and then if they click it, it'll bring them to this page of her website. So amplifying the reach there by including alt tags for your images. Another micro optimization, but when you do all of these things all together, it ends up creating this like powerhouse website that's using all the kind of best practices out there. Next on-site optimization tactic is bio and testimonials. So earlier on, I told you some of the things a truly ninja real estate website should accomplish. One of those things that I focused on was that it should create trust. One of the ways that you create trust is by adding a bio and some testimonials, some true testimonials about you to your website. Now, in a lot of cases, people are going to your website to get to know you. And the number of times I go to a realtor's website and click the bio and click the testimonials, and both of them say coming soon or under construction, it would blow your mind. It's so many people that just leave these, so many realtors just leave these to the end and never actually get to them. When really, these should be the two things you focus on first. Listings are great, yeah, that's awesome, but a lot of people just want to come to your site to get to know you. So at the very least, write a bio about yourself or have someone else write it about you. Grab a few testimonials from customers, or if you have like Google reviews or Facebook reviews or something, copy and paste those into your site and post some credibility information here. The bio can be short and sweet. Let people know who you are, why you do what you do, how long you've been doing it, what makes you passionate, what makes you know your market, and what makes you different from working with other realtors. Like, what's your area of expertise? What's your unique selling proposition? By kind of throwing all these things onto a page, all of a sudden you've built this little resume where people can kind of come and check you out and hear what other people have to say about working with you. Very, very important to break down that digital barrier and create trust. If you can, grab your, if you're not super camera shy, grab your smartphone, turn it sideways and film a selfie video of yourself, or put it on a tripod, or get someone to film you just talking through that. Like I said, people would rather watch a video than to read a 5-minute bio. So just turn the camera on, say who you are, say your name. I mean, you guys go out there, you're very personable. Realtors are very personable people. You go out there, you're meeting people, you're door knocking, you're shaking hands, you're chatting, you're doing open houses. So standing in front of a camera and just explaining what you do and why you do it for 30 seconds is not going to be that difficult, and it's going to definitely connect with people on a deeper level. If they can listen to your voice, you in the eyes, they can see your, even just your body language and the way you're looking at the camera, they can connect with you. And so that's a way that happens, right? We connect with people through video all the time, whether it's Hollywood movies or just YouTube channels. So you guys can be that same, you can replicate that same feeling with people, with the visitors of your site, with just a little bit of a short video clip. Also, if you can, a little bonus, if you can do video testimonials of your clients saying why they loved working with you, why they would recommend you, that's going to go a much longer way. Not a lot of realtors out there are doing video testimonials, and the ones who are, it just looks fantastic for them. Anybody can write a testimonial of text, but not anybody can be authentic on camera and explain the experience of working with you. And so, if you guys can do that, if you can find a couple customers who are willing to get in front of the camera and give a 30-second testimonial, I would highly recommend that as well. Last on-site optimization tactic we'll talk about, then we'll get into the off-site, is call to actions. Call to actions are the answer to that question we asked earlier today: what do I want people to do on my site once they get there? Call to actions are pivotal to any website. Doesn't matter if it's real estate, mortgage, or selling shoes online or whatever. You need call to actions to direct your visitors in the right direction. Otherwise, they might just take a look around and leave. And so really, really, really important to have clear visual call to actions that stand out. If your background is white, make your call to actions green, make them red, make them stand out, or make them images or videos even, right? This is the way that you're going to attract people's eyeballs to that call to action, get them to read it, and potentially get them to click it. Defining your objective goes back to that other question: who are the people that I want to attract to my website? When you know who you want to attract to your website, then you can identify an objective and say, okay, these people, I want them to get to my website, I want them to sign up for my mailing list, and then I want them to take a look at these listings, and then I want them to read this blog post. So set all of that up in a funnel and find ways, creative ways to kind of link them throughout their website experience with you to get to all of those places. One tip I like to say here is MLS search is great, but using MLS search as your main call to action is not very effective. MLS search is generic. Generic marketing is forgettable. You're not speaking to any specific group of people by just having your main call to action be browse the MLS. That's great, but people already have a tool to do that. It's called realtor.ca, and 99% of people just go to realtor.ca to do their MLS searches. And so while MLS search is a very important thing to have on your website so that people don't leave, right? Once they're there and they're like, oh, I want to take a look at what else is on the MLS, well, they have the option to do that. But it's not the actual main call to action that's going to speak to the people that are on your site for a specific reason. So I would say don't use, if you've got MLS search as the main call to action is on your site, I'd say reevaluate that decision. It's a bit too generic for me, and you're going to have better results if you switch that to something like browse listings made for first-time home buyers, or browse listings made for new families, or browse condos in Yaletown instead of just browsing the MLS. So take that how you will, and do what you will with it. But that's just my thoughts on that. Okay, that's the on-site we've covered. Now it's time to talk about off-site optimization really quickly. Things that you can do off your website and all over the internet to attract more traffic to your website. So before we get into the specific tactics, I just like to give a quick SEO in a nutshell, a little anecdote about SEO in a nutshell, and it's that everything you do online, not just your website, but also your social media, also any kind of brokerage site or anything online that has your name and your brand name on it, it's telling search engines a story about you. So like I said, search engine algorithms have evolved so much over the years. They're not just looking at your website and saying, okay, that's it. They're looking all over the place, and they're looking at links that connect to your website and trying to gather information from those links about you as well. And so what I see a lot of people doing out there is trying to get clever and have an entirely different strategy on every different online network that they're on. So on their website, for instance, they're talking about Yaletown. And then on their social media, like on their Instagram, they're talking about Gastown. And then on their Facebook page, they're talking about Cole Harbor. And they're kind of fragmenting their whole brand experience up on different platforms, on different areas, and that's kind of breaking the story up. So while you think that might be clever, it's actually more clever to have a cohesive story all over. So keep in mind, search engines are looking all over for you. Make sure your story is consistent, whether it's on your website, whether it's on your Facebook page, whether it's on your Instagram. You always want to be, if you're the Yaletown Realtor, be the Yaletown Realtor everywhere. Sure that message is being pounded out everywhere. Not only is that important for people, right? They see that and they see your name and it's like Jason Rustan, Yaletown Realtor, and then they go on Instagram and then they see Jason Rustan, Yaletown Realtor, and they're like, oh yeah, that guy. And then they go, click and go to your website and it's all about Yaletown. And so all of a sudden they form this brand about you in their mind, about how you work in Yaletown and you're connected to Yaletown. Now, if I'm driving through Gastown and it says Jason Rustan, Gastown Realtor, and then I go to your Instagram and it says Jason Rustan, Yaletown Realtor, and then I go to your website and it says Jason Rustan, Cole Harbor Realtor, it's like, what's going on here? That's confusing. And so if you're confusing people, you're confusing search engines. It's not going to be helpful for you, and you're not going to end up on page 1 of Google. So it's not going to amplify your reach that way. It's actually going to fragment your reach and break it up and confuse search engines a little bit. And you want to be not only on the first page of Google, you want to be the first 5 results on Google for numbers, for any number of keywords that you're kind of after. The first 5 results get 67% of clicks. Dead bodies are hidden on the second page because no one ever really goes there. Everything you need is usually found on the first page of Google. So keep that in mind. Tell a consistent story anywhere you are online, regardless of if it's your website, your social media, or even your broker site or whatever. So with that said, Let's talk about the broker site. Let's talk about these directories for a second. Um, Wherever you are online, anywhere that you exist, right? So what I recommend doing is go Google search yourself and actually do go to page 2, do go to page 3, do go to page 4, and even up to like page 10, and take a look at everywhere that you exist. You might be on places that you forgot about. You might be on Yelp. You might be on networking sites like Alignable. You might be, you have a Google profile that you forgot about or whatever. Anywhere that you are, open those up in new tabs, and then go to them and edit those profiles. Make sure that your website is linked on all of those profiles. Not only your website, but also that your message is consistent across them. You're telling the same story on all of the profiles, but also that your website is linked there. Optimize these bios because one of the most important things to SEO is backlinks. And backlinks are when other websites on the internet link to your website. And so if you've got a link on, like if you're a Remax agent and you've got a bio on your on the Remax website, if that bio links back to your site, it's going to tell search engines, hey, this credible website, remax.ca, is linking to Chad's website, for instance. So let's give them some SEO boost because Remax is a really credible brand. That domain has been around for years. The tons of the people link to them. They have great SEO. They've advertised for thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. So this is a very credible brand, and that brand is linking to Chad's site. So Chad's site must be credible as well. So that's the way that works, that kind of link reputation and credibility. And so if you have 20 of these links out there or bios out there on different sites and directories, you want to make sure they're all linking to you. And then that's going to tell search engines, hey, there's 30 websites linking to Chad's website. Chad must be really, really popular or really credible. And so that's really going to give you a lot of SEO points. Another great way to get these kind of links to your website out there on the internet, especially on popular sites, is by offering to write guest blog posts for people. So there's a website called REW, Real Estate Weekly. So for rew.ca, I wrote a couple, actually 6 guest blog posts a few years ago before they shut down their editorial section. I wrote an article for them. It was all about website domains and how to pick the best domain. I sent that to their editorial manager and I said, hey, I wrote this for you guys. It doesn't exist anywhere else. Would you mind publishing it? And they were like, they read it, they loved it, they published it the following week, and they also asked me to write 5 more articles. And so in those articles that I wrote, I had a little bio at the bottom, that like Seppi is the marketing director of RealtyNinja, et cetera, et cetera. And then we had a link to RealtyNinja there. Also in the body of the actual blog posts, anytime there was like the words real estate website, I'd highlight those words and link them to realtyninja.com as well. And so that was giving us a couple backlinks in every blog post, at least 2 backlinks in every blog post we were getting out of that. Now, Real Estate Weekly has been around for years. They're owned by Glacier Media. They have deep, deep pockets. They have SEO teams that like in-house that work on their SEO constantly. They're number 1 for almost all the addresses that you search. And so having a site like linking to realtyninja.com did wonders for our SEO. And so think about who you can write guest blog posts for. There's a lot of blogs out there in your community that are super popular, like whether it's Daily Hive or some smaller publication, but they have thousands of readers or at least hundreds of readers, sometimes hundreds of thousands. And so if you write a guest blog post and those guys publish it and share it on their social media, for instance, that's going to do wonders for your SEO. It also doesn't hurt to have your link on the mortgage broker you work with or the plumber or the home stager or the notary that you work with. Have it on their sites as well. Put a link to their sites on your, do a link trade. So get your link on as many websites as you can on the internet, basically is what I'm trying to say. Just an example of on your Facebook page even, right? Craig Veroni is one of our customers, and just adding that even says, okay, Facebook's linking to this. It helps complete that story, and it also provides credibility to your website that you have a Facebook page. It says a little bit to search engines. So everywhere, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, everywhere that you exist, make sure your website's there. Next offsite optimization tactic is social media publishing and engagement. So I've been working in social media and digital marketing since 2009. In all those years, so much has changed with the way that, like even just like Instagram didn't exist. Facebook pages used to be completely different back then. Twitter was like a medium where you used to send text messages, right, to a specific phone number to create tweets. So social media has changed so much in terms of the technology and the logistics of it over just 10 years. But two things that like the two foundations that it stands on have remained the same. And one half of it is publishing and the other half of it is engagement. Now, publishing is when you go post something, okay? You post an Instagram photo, you make an Instagram story, you post a video on YouTube, you post a Facebook post, whatever. You're posting, that's the publishing side of it. Now, engagement is the other side of it. When you're posting something, you want people to come and engage with that post. You want them to like it, to share it, to comment on it, to click on it, to view it, to watch the video. All that stuff is engagement. And so you want the engagement. But what I find a lot of time, realtors don't actually go out there and provide engagement to others. So this is a huge missed opportunity, and a place where I recommend you guys spend some time is going out there and engaging with other people's social media. So the thousands of people, that are your potential customers are out there posting pictures of their dogs and their babies and their vacations and, whatever, selfies and all kinds of stuff. And so you could be out there in your community searching hashtag Calgary, hashtag Vancouver, hashtag Toronto, wherever you are, and look through the posts that these people are posting and comment on them, like them, engage with other people's stuff. This is 50% of social media. 50% of it is publishing, posting stuff. The other 50% is engagement. And I'm shocked at how many realtors actually stay out of one half of social media. They just think that they need to go out there and post things, post my sold listings, post my blog posts, but they don't actually join the conversation. So really, I recommend joining the conversation. In fact, if you're only going to do one of these things, if you're only going to do 50% of social media, do the engagement. Don't even post anything. Just engage and have your website on your Facebook profile and on your Instagram bio. And don't even post any pictures. Just go out there and like and comment on other people's stuff. When you go and comment on someone's photo, you're giving them a dopamine rush. It's like a drug. It's like a drag from a cigarette or whatever. Like that's the effect that it has on the brain. And so it makes people feel good. Go out there and make people feel good. Provide them value by commenting on their posts, by liking their posts. They're going to take notice and come look at you and see who you are at that point. Then that's how your engagement's going to grow, is by you also entering the conversation, engaging with people. Whatever you're doing, whatever profile you're using, make sure you're sucking traffic to your website by including your website on that profile, so that people can come learn more about you. If they click your Instagram profile, they can go to your website, for instance. But definitely don't think about engagement. Very, very important. And last offsite optimization tactic we're going to do is paid traffic versus organic traffic. So organic traffic is traffic that gets to your website without you investing any money in advertising. So that was that inbound marketing we were talking about. Like you go and create a blog article, or you create a page on your website, or a landing page, or a resource or something, and people find it online on Google search or on social media or whatever, and they click it and they get to your website. That's organic traffic. It takes work. It doesn't cost necessarily advertising dollars, but it takes time. Time is money. It takes dedication. It takes consistency. And it takes knowing your target audience and producing content for them consistently, actually. Now, the other side of it is the paid side. You can create content and just throw $500 at it, or $100 at it, or $2,000 at it, or whatever. And then you can ask for it, with the money, you're asking for it to be put in front of people's faces. So without it reaching anybody organically, you can just say, you know what, let's just throw $200 at this and cross our fingers and test it and see if it works. One thing that I want to tell you is be careful when you're advertising content, when you're just like posting something and deciding, I'm just going to boost this and see what happens. Because the nature of advertising online and on Facebook and Google and Instagram, it's different than the nature of advertising, on a bus shelter, for instance, or out in the public in your community. The point of online ads is to get a click. Okay, you want people to click something, whether they're clicking to send you a message or clicking to go through your blog post and read it. You're trying to get a click. Now, if your content is not click worthy for free, then by boosting it, it's not going to make it click worthy. It's just going to put it in front of more people who are not going to click it. So I don't want to see you guys wasting your money and just thinking that by throwing money at a post, you're going to immediately get people engaging with it and going to your website. That's not the case. You might throw money at a post and a few people click it and they leave your website right away. They might have by accident. It might have been your competitors clicking it just to cost you money, but it wasn't actually providing people value. So one good test is, let's say you write an article, like the top 10 pink areas in North Vancouver, let's say for argument's sake. You post that on your Facebook page, and all of a sudden, people are commenting with their own other locations that they think are great for picnics, and other people are loving it and saying thanks for the post, and some people are sharing it even to their own profiles, and you didn't pay a penny, right? You didn't do any advertising yet. This was just organic. So to me, that's a great candidate to be boosted with a couple $100, to be placed in front of more people, a bigger audience that is actually going to give a damn about it. If you post something and it's like market statistics for North Vancouver real estate, February 2019, and nobody comments, nobody likes it, nobody shares it organically, don't just go and throw $200 at it thinking that now people are gonna, you're not paying for the likes, you're paying for eyeballs. And if those eyeballs don't care about it, you're wasting your money. So keep that in mind. I'd hate to see you guys wasting your money. This kind of advertisement might do well out in the public if it's like hoisted up high in town. I get to see Linda's face. I get to read her little Got Realtor, cute little like Got Milk type tagline, and I can see her website. I can see her brokerages with Remax. Cool. Like I get to see that every day on my drive to work. It's branding Linda in the area for me, but it's different because I don't have to click it. If she were to post this on Facebook, I'd be like, what do I get when I click this? What happens when I click this, right? Okay, so I click it and I go to our website and I'm just like on homesanyone.com all of a sudden. I'm probably just gonna leave and I probably just cost Linda $2 for nothing, right? So keep that in mind. The same advertising practices that work in the public and that work in the offline world don't necessarily work in the online world. Sometimes they do, like if it's a brochure or like a magazine ad or something, that might translate well into Facebook. But even then, you definitely need to tweak a little bit and keep in mind that you're trying to get an action. You're trying to get an immediate action, a click, filling out a form, sending a message, something of that nature. So keep that in mind. And with all that said, the last and most important thing is to stay consistent. A lot of people will watch this webinar or go read an ebook or watch a video and get inspired for an hour and go hit up social media and start commenting on people's stuff or go create a couple videos, and then they'll forget about it in a week. And so what you need to do is you need to weave this into your actual brand's like biology, into the nature of this. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It takes time. It takes 3 to 6 to start seeing results from all of these efforts, from blogging consistently, from doing a mailing list, from doing social media consistently. If you're doing one post every month and you're like, this isn't working, well, that's because you're not being consistent. And so really dedicate yourself to a few of these things we've talked about today, and I guarantee you will see results. That's just the way it works, and we're a testament to it. We've created value for our customers over the years by producing things like the ebook series that we've created, or by producing regular blog posts in our dojo and our real estate marketing blog. So that's our way of creating value for people, amongst other things. We've also got a marketplace. We also do these kind of free webinars to create value for you guys. And it's all for us to just kind of show our value and attract more people to our business. So we're drinking our own Kool-Aid, and it's working. And the company's been growing year after year for 9 years. And we don't plan on stopping, and we plan on producing more and more value for you guys as we move forward. So take a look at the ways that we're producing value for you guys. Download the ebook, check out the dojo, see how we're drinking our own Kool-Aid, and try and take a page out of our book when you're producing content for your own client base. We know our customers are realtors, so we produce content for real estate agents, for you guys, for realtors. Your customers are first-time home buyers, produce content that they're going to care about. And so, yeah, anyway, I would highly recommend you download these. The ebook's been downloaded over 1,000 times, and we've gotten nothing but great feedback on it. And please subscribe to the blog. I can see there's no spam or garbage that's going to come your way. I am the person who manages our blog and our mailing list. I'm the only one who will send you emails, and I'm pretty much the only one who writes our blog articles and produces our content anyway. So you're not just going to get spammed constantly. It's only going to be really good stuff. So look at that, 1 minute under, and we're at the questions period. So I haven't heard any questions from you guys. I guess that might mean you have no questions, but if you do, now would be a great time. I noticed that along the way, we got about a few more people that joined, so thank you guys so much. Cindy, Chad, Lori, William, Kelly, Jason, I really appreciate you guys all being here. If there's any questions, now would be the time. In about a minute or so, I'm probably going to go ahead and end the event if I don't hear from any of you. And so maybe even less than that. When I do end the event, you guys are going to get forwarded to a page with links. One of the links will be to download the slides from today's presentation. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that afterwards, you can always email me. I'm always available to you guys. Just email info@realtyninja.com and just say, hey, Seppi, and someone will pass the email along to me and I can get back to you. Happy to hop on a phone call and talk about anything or help you out however I can. I'm seeing a few people typing, so I'm going to wait and see. Well, my pleasure. Thanks, Kelly. Awesome. Thanks so much, Chad. That means a lot to me. That's great. Great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the event then, since it seems like there's no questions coming in, and then you guys can download that stuff, and hope you have a wonderful day and an even better weekend, and we'll talk to you all really soon. Thanks, guys.